guys, welcome back to my channel. I'm so glad everyone stopped by today because today we are going to be doing another really fun project. I'm going to be making a cute little black kitten and we're going to dress her up for Halloween and give her a nice little witch hat. Anyways, let's get started. Okay, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to make the body of our little kitten. Now my kitten is just going to be in a sitting position. I don't really need it to stand or be posable or anything, so I just drew a sitting kitten, minus the head of course. And then over here I have the belly to my left, and then to my right I have the piece for the tail. So I'm going to cut all the fabric out and then show you all the different pieces. Okay, it might be a little hard to see because it's black on black, but I've got the body pieces over here, and then I've got the tail and belly to the right, and down here I have the little pieces for the legs. So I'm going to sew the legs together, and then we're going to sew on the belly. Now I have the legs sewn, but you'll see that the front ones I left open in the back. They're just so skinny that I didn't want to sew them closed before flipping them. So when we flip the body right side out, then I'm going to sew the legs and then stuff them. Otherwise I'm afraid they're going to get stuck and I won't be able to flip them right side out. So now I'm going to sew the belly, connecting the two pieces together. After that we're going to flip it right side out, and then I can work on stuffing and closing off the legs. For the tail, it's really simple. I'm just going to take my needle and thread and then sew it closed. I don't need to stuff this because it's going to be thin enough where it wouldn't really matter. Okay, here is our body and our tail. You'll notice that the legs are nice and smooth now. I went over them with a trimmer so that you can see them a lot better because they were just all over the place with fur. So our body is finished and our tail, and then we're going to start working on the clay face. So for our kitten, I want it to have a nice big head to go with its tiny body, because most baby animals have large heads and small bodies. So to do the face, I'm going to be starting off with this foam ball, and I'm going to cover it in tin foil, and then we can put our clay over this. I'm doing the tin foil first, so that way we can take the face off of the foam a lot easier, because the foam cannot go in the oven. It will melt and create horrible toxic fumes. Now for my kitten, I want it to have really big open eyes, so I'm going to be adding some nice big circles of clay, and then I'm going to build up the eyelids around that. And then another way you can make the eyes look a lot bigger, even if they're not really big, is to just make the mouth and the nose and all the other facial features really small. So I'm going to be keeping that part really small. You'll notice there's just a little lump right now, so I'm going to build up clay to add some cheeks and the nose. Now you'll notice I'm not sculpting any fur details around the face, and that's because I'm going to leave that blank, and we're going to add the fake fur over that so it looks all nice and fluffy. So the only clay pieces you'll really see are going to be the eyes and the nose. So I'm pretty much done. I'm going to take my face off of the foam and I'm going to put it in the oven at 275 Fahrenheit for roughly probably about 45 minutes. Okay, our face is cooled from baking and we are now able to start on the painting. To make this a lot easier, I'm going to take my hot glue gun and I'm going to glue the clay face onto our foam ball. Now you'll notice that I have a wooden dowel stuck in the foam ball. This is to help hold it, and I will probably take this out when I do the painting because it kind of gets in the way, but when I need to set it down for the paint to dry, I'm just going to stick the wooden dowel into the foam ball and then set it in like a glass jar or something. That way it's not touching the counters and rolling around. So the first thing I'm going to do paint-wise is I'm going to cover the whole face with black paint. You don't need to paint the foam ball, but I am going to paint all of the clay black. Even the parts that we're going to cover with fur later, because if you miss a spot, having the black surface under the black fur will help kind of hide that. So I want my eyes to kind of look like nighttime, the sky and everything like that, but I don't want it looking super detailed. I'm going to keep it pretty simple. So how I'm going to do this is I'm going to start out by covering the eye surface in a dark purple. Once that dried, I'm going to go over it with a dark blue and then slowly lighten the colors as I go, getting closer and closer to the middle of the eye. And then of course, while my eyes are drying, I can work on adding some shadowing effect to the mouth and nose. Now doing the eyes this way is kind of messy, so you'll probably get the paint on the other parts of the face, but that's okay because most of it's going to get covered up with fur and you can easily touch up the other parts later. It's best to do the eyes first instead of doing all the other details and then messing your details up when you do the eyes. So after my eyes have dried, I'm going to take a little scratchy tool. This is one of those little stick tools that I use to sculpt with, and I'm going to scratch a line in the paint where I want the pupil to go. And then I'm going to use black paint to paint and fill in that circle. After that's dried, I'm going to go over it and add some white highlights here and there, trying to make it kind of look like there's stars in the sky. And then the last thing I really did was I just touched up the eyelids around the eyes with a kind of dark gray. Okay, it's the next day and our face is all dried and we can start putting our piece together. Now, with the head being kind of heavy, I'm going to make a little wire frame, not so that it can be posable or anything, but just so it can stand up nice and easily. Pretty much, I'm going to be making a little tripod to go inside of the cat. So we're going to take the measurement from the head going down the spine and down to the tip of the tail. That's going to be our first leg for our tripod. And then to do the other two legs, we're going to keep it one wire. We're going to measure the length from the head to the tip of the front foot, and then we're going to double it. That way you can bend it in half and it can go into both legs. So for the first wire, we're going to take the tail and we're going to run the wire through the tail and then glue the base of the tail to the wire. And then we can glue our tail into place. For the other piece of wire, we have it bent in half and we're going to run it through the front legs, and then we're going to connect all of the wires together so that we can push it into our foam head. After you push it into your foam head, you'll add a little extra glue here and there to hold it into place. So now that our head is attached to our kitten, it's time to add the fur around the neck. So we're going to pull up the fabric of the body and start gluing it around the foam head. Then we are going to take our stuffing, finish stuffing the body, and close it up. After the body is finished, we can start covering the rest of the foam ball in black fur. Now I'm going to leave the very top of the head blank, so I'm going to not put fur over there because I'm going to add a little witch hat to our cat, and it's just easier to glue the hat directly to the foam instead of on top of the fur. So now I'm going to move on to adding fur to the face. So I'm going to use my hot glue and I'm going to take little bits of fur here and there and just start gluing it around the face. Just covering up everything other than the mouth and the eyes. Okay, now we're going to start on the witch hat for our kitten. I made it really simple. These are all the pieces you'll need. I have a cardboard kind of donut shape to help support the brim of the hat. I've got two little circles cut out of felt, and then I've got kind of like a little triangle for the peak of the hat. So I'm going to take our cardboard little donut, and I'm going to take the 2 pieces of felt that are circle, and I'm going to sandwich that cardboard, and we're going to take our needle and thread and sew around that, closing up the cardboard inside of the felt. Next, I'm going to take my needle and thread and I'm going to close up the hat so that it creates a nice little point. Once this is sewn, we're going to stuff it so it has a little bit more support and it won't get floppy or anything after the hat's finished. Okay, now to attach the hat to the kitten, we're going to take our hot glue and we're going to put a nice circle of glue onto the brim of the hat, and we're going to push it right on top of the head where we want the hat. After that's cooled, we're going to take more glue and do another circle on the top of the hat, and we're going to push the pointy bit of the hat onto that. And then lastly, for our hat, we're going to take some decorations and we're going to cover up that little ring of glue that's around the point of the hat. Now, since I like putting resin over the clay pieces, I always have extra resin afterwards. So what I like to do with it is I have a little mold set and I pour resin in molds, and then I just add a little bit of colored paint or glitter or something, and I make these little extra gems to use. So I'm going to pick a little gem to go on top of the hat. Now the last thing we need for our kitten is some ears. So I've got 4 pieces of fabric cut out into a triangle shape. You'll need 2 for each ear. You're going to sandwich them together and sew them up, flip them out, and then we're going to glue them on top of the little hat so it looks like you have little holes for the ears to stick out on the hat. And then to make the ears look a little bit pointier, I just took my scissors and I trimmed the fur, trying to shape them a bit more to a nice point. Okay guys, and here's our cute little kitten all ready to go trick-or-treating. I think she came out really cute. I'm going to have her up for sale in my Etsy shop, so if you guys are interested in buying her and giving her a home, make sure to check the links down below for that. Also, I'm going to be having another video out shortly, so you won't have to wait a whole week for one. That, or I'll at least have 2 of them up next week just to celebrate Halloween. If you guys like having extra videos, I'll try and do it maybe every other week. We'll have 2 videos. I really don't know, it depends on my schedule. Anyways guys, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed today's video. If so, leave me a like, subscribe, do all that fun stuff. I'll see you guys next time. Bye!